into a patient's brain, and it could be the first step to curing Parkinson's disease.
Parkinson's disease affects more than 80,000 Australians and 6.3 million people worldwide. It takes hold when the brain starts to lose its dopamine cells, leading to a loss of coordination and physical function.
Parkinson's is a degenerative condition that has no cure. It's primarily a disease of the ageing, but people can get in their 20s, 30s and 40s.
But a team from the Royal Melbourne Hospital have successfully completed a world-first, potentially revolutionary procedure. Here's how it works. 4 small holes are cut in the skull. Stem cells from unfertilised eggs are then injected through those holes into 14 target sites, deep in the patient's brain.
Stem cells, not all of them, will differentiate, we hope, into dopamine cells in humans and replenish some of the lost dopamine cells and thus form potentially another important treatment avenue.
The procedure is incredibly complicated. After weeks of practicing on a model, frozen stem cells were flown in from the US for the 8-hour operation. And it's all incredibly risky.
If you get it wrong, you cause a bleed or you get into the wrong spot, you can cause a stroke and your patient can die.
For the 64-year-old patient, the surgery was a success and he is now recovering. It's too soon to tell if the stem cells will take, but for others living with Parkinson's, it's still cause for excitement.
Looking forward to seeing more positive results from this exercise. It might be too late for me, but there's always hope.
Girish Nair was part of the groundbreaking team that performed the surgery. He's been good enough to join us now. Girish, firstly, congratulations. I mean, this is astonishing. An 8-hour operation. Can you give us a minute-by-minute description and tell us how you did it?
Yeah, are you sitting down? Do you have a couch? Yeah. Look, 8 hours, I mean, it's a long time, but I guess this is not the kind of operation you do by the clock. It takes as long as it takes. And the whole process started a bit before the date of surgery. We chose a patient and we had a scan done, which is an MRI scan. And we use that MRI scan on neuronavigation software we have to plan the targets where we wanted to deposit the stem cells. After the patient was under an anesthetic, there is a frame that is fixed to the skull, and then there's a CT scan that happens. We fuse the images of our planned MRI and the CT scan together, and we get what we call the coordinates in an X, Y, and Z plane, and that gets us going. After which we make the cuts on the scalp, make 14mm burr holes on either side of the head, and the wires go in onto the planned locations. That's just a summarised version.
It's just every day, you know?
Doesn't it sound like he's assembling something
it's
from
crazy.
like the garage or something?
It's absolutely incredible. What will this mean for people? I mean, is this a way of slowing Parkinson's down? Will this lead to a cure? Where will we go with this?
Parkinson's, as we know, is a neurodegenerative disease where, you know, the cells are dying, and as the cells are dying, dopamine, which is the chemical neurotransmitter of the brain, depletes, and that leads to the symptoms of Parkinson's. So far, we have not had any attempt at trying to restore cells which can then maybe start producing the dopamine, make networks inside the brain, and improve things from within rather than we pushing pills or popping wires from the outside.
You seem like an incredibly humble man. I can't imagine you're bragging about this, but tell me you've given yourself a pat in the back, you've popped some champagne. I don't know, you've celebrated in some way. Have you, Girish?
We have, and we, I mean, this 8-hour business, once we finished that day, I mean, once we put our last skin staple on, that's when the whole juice ran out of me, and then, you know, I didn't have any energy to go out that night. But once we got our patient home, yeah, we did have a small celebration, but I guess it's still very early days.
Girish, congratulations again. If you do want to cut loose to celebrate, I'm sure Carrie will come along and just cut loose with the best of them.
Carrie has been a big supporter for our neurosciences work at Royal Melbourne, and we are very thankful to her for all she does for us.
I've seen you cut loose too, Girish, so I know you can party. You guys are incredible. Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you very much.
Their hands are such gifts, what they can do. Amazing.
An amazing day. And I mean, again, we say it all the time, but it's worth pointing out, Australian science and, you know, the medical fraternity should be, you know, a big high five, a high 10, in fact. That's what I'm giving you, high 10. Wow. It's that big.
Gone all the way.
Yeah, wow. That should come up in an emoji or something.
Well, speaking of education, it seems the debate about the value of single-sex schools in education has been